If you have a 9-to-5 job and you want to build up your social media with a 9-to-5, whether you want to be a full-time content creator, quit the 9-to-5, do that full-time, or you just want to have a 9-to-5 job and do content creation on the side. Okay, hello. It is Tess reporting live, editing this video, because in a couple of moments you will notice the TV behind me is going to shift from our busy blooming logo to my actual TV, and that will last for a gorgeous 12 minutes, and then we'll be back to the black TV. You know, we're all content creators over here, and this is what happens. So I know we're in a safe space over at Busy Blooming. Please feel free to enjoy the TV behind me. There's some good TV show recommendations. If you have any others, please comment down below, and let's get back to the video. You have come to the right place, because today we are unpacking a completely unfiltered guide on how to build your social media and balance your social media and your content creation on the side of a 9-to-5 job without being a complete mess like I was when I did that. Because I built up my social media, my podcast, my business with a 9-to-5 job throughout my 20s for 4 full years. And now I'm in the 3rd year of doing this full time after the 9-to-5. I'm my own boss. I have full-time team members, and I'm a full-time podcaster, content creator, and business owner after the corporate 9-to-5 life. This might be the most passionate I've ever been about a topic, more than social media, more than content creation, more than anything, because working a full-time 9-to-5 job while wanting to be a content creator or building content creation, like the career and the job of doing content creation is so deep to me, because I know the feeling of having a 9-to-5 and trying to balance it all and like being so desperate to just do this full-time and be your own boss. So we're gonna dive into everything today, from time management, burnout, posting schedules, content creation routine, monetization, like everything. I was a complete burnt out mess throughout the 4 years of doing all this, and I really think there is a way to do it without completely burning out and feeling stressed and a mess and crying all the time. Everything is timestamped below of all the different topics we're gonna unpack today, so let's just get into it. The ultimate guide to balancing and building your content creation and your social media with a 9-to-5 job. So when thinking about building your social media, your business, your podcast, when you have a 9-to-5 job or you're just really busy, one of the best things you can do is to invest into tools that help you save time and enhance the quality of your content. And that is where today's sponsor comes in, Riverside. I'm so excited Riverside is sponsoring today's video. I have used them for so many years, specifically when I had a 9-to-5 job and was building up my social media and my podcast. Riverside saved me so much time and helped me enhance the quality of my podcast and my content so much. I also used them so much when I had a 9-to-5 job to make short form clips for social media of the podcast. They have like the best all-in-one tool. It's amazing. Riverside is an online studio where you can record your podcasts, interviews, or videos with crystal clear quality. And the best part is that it's so easy to use. And again, I've used Riverside for so many years, and what's so cool about them is that unlike other recording platforms, Riverside records locally on your device. So even if your Wi-Fi is a little bit cloudy when you're recording an interview or recording a podcast, it actually records it locally, and it uploads the video and audio files to the cloud uncompressed. So it does not compress the audio, does not compress the video. And so even if you're editing footage on Riverside or recording it and it looks a little blurry, the final footage will just be like the highest quality it can be. It's so amazing for that. Riverside is basically a one-stop shop for content creators. They have so many amazing features. Personally, I think one of my favorite features is the Magic Clips feature, because creating clips of your long-form content, whether it's a YouTube video or a podcast, and Riverside is so great, especially if you're really busy, because they save so much time creating clips, which can be so time-consuming. So their feature, the Magic Clips feature, you can actually customize it to fit your brand, fit your vibe, and you can pick different layouts of like how you want your clips to look, and they look so high quality and so good. Another one of my all-time favorite features for them is their Smart Scenes feature. This is like the best thing ever. With their Smart Scenes feature, you can let AI choose who it will feature on the screen or split screens, which is so great for podcast interviews when you have a guest, because editing a podcast, whether it's the whole episode or short form clips, when you have a guest interview, it can be so hard to have the different camera angles. And with their Smart Scenes feature, AI just makes it so easy and so seamless and looks so clean and so good. If you want to try out Riverside, you have to go check it out. I love them so much. I will link them down below, and you can use the code TESS for 15% off. So check out Riverside at the link below. They will save you so much time and make your content look so high quality, especially for somebody with a busy schedule. Riverside has your back. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. Let's just get into a super brief, like 1-minute overview of my journey, my experience from 9-to-5 to what I do now. So from 2019 to 2020, 2021 in downtown Toronto. I worked in corporate marketing at a few different companies. I bounced around a lot. Big Four consulting, tech startups, and did content creation and social media on the side. I posted on this YouTube channel, like 9 to 5 vlogs, and I posted on Instagram a little bit, started on TikTok. So I did that for 3 full years in a corporate 9 to 5 job. And then at the end of 2021, the week before my 25th birthday, I quit my 9 to 5 job and I went part-time at a beauty brand in another consulting company, doing part-time marketing, influencer marketing, social media marketing to launch my business, Busy Blooming, and build up my social media as well. So I did part-time for 1 year doing that. And then in January 2023, I went full-time for the whole year of 2023 and 2024, full-time being my own boss, running Busy Blooming, building up this podcast, and building my social media. So that is my timeline. And I remember so clearly being in my slacks, in my corporate office, in the Big Four. If you ever watched Suits, I worked in that building where they filmed Suits. And I actually have here the journal I had throughout that time that I got at the dollar store. And I literally in this journal wrote out my dream to-do list of like what I would do all day if I was a full-time content creator. And the to-do lists that are in here are my to-do list today. These to-do lists I had in here, I have to say, were like a little bit lighter, a little bit more casual than what my to-do lists are right now. So first, let's talk about work-life balance and how to balance everything. That is probably the number one question I got when I asked you on my Instagram and on the channel post. I got a lot of questions and I'm going to go through all of them. And the key to all of this is creating a system and a routine that does 2 things, and it has to do both of these things. You need to figure out a routine and a system that grows your social media and like gets you closer to your goals, but also that makes you feel happy and makes you enjoy your life and like feel good. Because if you don't have that second part, you can't do the first part. If you're all burnt out and stressed and having mental breakdowns all the time. And one thing I really want to point out is that being successful does not have to, it's not a requirement for success to be burnt out and sad and stressed all the time. Like that is not what success has to come from. And it's so important to remember it. Like at the top of everything, the most important thing is you, because you are the greatest asset to your business, your social media, especially in the business of content creation. You are the centerpiece of the business. It all revolves around you. And if you are not taking care of the centerpiece of your business, you can't create content. You can't think clearly. Like you can't perform and build and accomplish your goals. So let's go through a step-by-step process. I love a step-by-step process of how to build out your routine, your system, your weekly structure of how you're going to balance all these different things. Step number 1 that we're going to do is you have to be so clear, like detailed, specifically clear on what the end goal is that you're actually working towards and what your day-to-day would actually look like if you got your end goal. With this first step, I don't want you to be realistic at all. I want you to dream. Like if you were to say anything right now and you knew it would happen, like what do you actually want to do, and get so specific on what you're trying to do. For example, so many people just say, I want to do social media and be my own boss. But like, what do you mean by that? Do you want to be a full-time podcaster? Do you want to be a fitness and lifestyle content creator on Instagram and do one-on-one coaching? Do you want to be a vlogger on YouTube? Do you want to have a course and a digital store and a TikTok about fashion and styling? Like, what do you want to do, and be so specific? My end goal for a very long time was to do a part-time marketing job at a beauty brand and then do content creation on the side full-time on YouTube and do a podcast on the side. And in this first step, not only think about what you want to do, but think about how do you want to feel. And this is really, really important, because do you want to wake up every day and are you chasing the feeling of feeling financially free, having a peaceful, a more slow life, more freedom in your schedule? Because for me, one of the biggest mistakes I made, and there are so many mistakes I made, I was really chasing a feeling of feeling financially stable, but also I really wanted to feel every single day like fulfilled and excited and having a lot of freedom with my time and my schedule. But what I was trying to do versus how I wanted to feel was that I wanted to be a tech founder and do a podcast and have a big team and be a content creator on 3 social media platforms and have a course and do coaching and have a digital store and run events. Like I wanted to do everything. So that's what I was working towards, but that wasn't the feeling I was chasing. So what I wanted you to do in step number 1 is be so specific about what you want to do. Even honestly, write out a day-to-day dream to-do list. It's such a good thing to do. And if you woke up at 7 a.m. and you had a 9 to 5 workday as your own boss, as a content creator, running your own business, what do you want your to-do list to look like? And how do you want to feel every single day? As you start to do that, as it starts to build, even if you quit your 9 to 5 job, I could do a whole separate video on life after 9 to 5. It's like such a deep topic that I feel like people don't talk about. But as you start to build it and grow, it probably definitely will pivot and change. I think I've pivoted that a million times over the years before I finally settled in, but that's a good thing. That's okay. But for right now, think about the dream to-do list. What do you want to do so specifically, and how do you want to feel after the 9 to 5 or with a 9 to 5 in your dream scenario? The next thing I want you to do is I want you to treat your content creation and your social media like a part-time job, and I want you to build out a part-time job description of everything you're going to do right now with your 9 to 5 job and how long it's all going to take with hours. So we're going to break this into your calendar in a second. I'm going to put a template for this on the Busy Blooming Instagram. So what I want you to do is take a step back from what you want to do and think about right now. This is another big mistake I made, is I was trying when I had a 9 to 5 job to grow too many things at once. So I was kind of giving a bunch of things like 10% of my time. And so what I want you to do is pick between 1 to 3 things that you want to grow. Ideally like 1 or 2, but let's just say 1 to 3. And these things are like your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, your podcast. Maybe you want to grow a digital store, coaching, products. Like pick 1 to 3 things that you want to do and grow, because this is the thing with a 9 to 5 job. You cannot do it all. I mean, you can, but you can't do it all at once. And so with a 9 to 5 job, it's so important. And I wish this is one of the biggest things I wish I could go back and do, is stay super focused on like 1 to 3 things, or 1 to 3 platforms of content creation is like the whole business. So let's say, for example, you want to grow your podcast and your Instagram. Like those are the 2 focuses right now that you want to grow. Those are going to be your top 2 priorities every single week. You're growing 2 things. Like those are the 2 big buckets of things you're trying to grow with the 9 to 5 job. So with those 2 things, 1 to 3 things you want to grow, you have to ask yourself 4 questions that will lead into the weekly structure. First question, what are the big things you need to do to grow those 2 things? So let's go with your podcast and your Instagram. You need to do every single week, probably 1 episode a week on the podcast, maybe 3 carousels and 3 reels on your Instagram. Like that would be a good thing that you need to post, you need to do. Then I want you to think about what are some things that are nice to do. Like maybe it's a weekly Q&A, maybe doing a bonus podcast every other week. Maybe it's posting like 1 to 3 clips on Twitter or Pinterest or YouTube Shorts. Like what are some other nice to do things? Then what I want you to do is take all of that, what you need to do, what would be nice to do, and I want you to put that into a part-time job description. Because really, as a content creator, if you're somebody who wants to build an income from it, even if it's your full-time income one day, it is a job. Like you are working, it's a part-time job. And so what I want you to do is think about all the things you need to do and write a description of how long all those things are going to take you. Because as you know, as a content creator, creating a podcast episode, creating a YouTube video, an Instagram reel, all these things, it is not just as simple as sitting down and filming it. There is so much that goes into it, as deep as like a content strategy, a brand strategy, content ideas, scripting, filming, editing, posting, Canva graphics. Okay, so now that you have an idea of everything you need to do, things that would be nice to do, you have your job description of, okay, every single week, these are all the things I'm going to do. Now, the 4th question you need to ask yourself is, what are the things that I can actually realistically do without burning out? We're going to get into content tips in a second, but so much of the advice I have is that less is more when it comes to content. So work through these 4 questions, these 4 steps, and tweak things a little bit and be so real with yourself of what are the amount of hours and tasks and things that are the most high priority, because high prioritization and high ROI of your time are like the most important thing with a 9 to 5. But take a step back and think realistically, okay, can I actually post 6 things on Instagram every single week? Could I actually do 2 podcast episodes? Like how long could I do that without burning out? Like be so real with yourself, because you have so much time, and so much of how you're going to grow in social media is from less content that is higher quality. And ideally you can create a lot of high quality content down the line, but when you have a 9 to 5 job, like it is 40 hours of your week that are exhausting probably. You only have so many other hours throughout the week to focus on content and exist for the first time on earth. So those are the first 2 steps. Step number 1, be super clear on what you want to do, what your big, scary dream goal is, what those to-do lists would look like. Step number 2 is for right now, make a part-time job description of exactly the amount of hours and tasks that you need to do and you can do realistically in your week. Okay, now that you have an exact part-time, beautiful, gorgeous schedule of all the things you're going to do, how much time it's going to take, I want you to actually schedule it in. Because when you have a 9 to 5 job, you do things a little bit differently than when you have a part-time job, or even when you're a student. Like you can go more with your energy and being in alignment and be a little more like in a flow, agile state of working. But when you have a 9 to 5, I do think it's the best to be a little more rigid and kind of just treat your part-time content creation business building job like your 9 to 5. It's a little bit easier. And what I want you to do, and like the key to productivity and time management really is self-awareness and knowing when are you the most productive and what do you need to fill your cup. Like, do you need a Sunday rot day on TikTok, watching podcasts, watching YouTube, being in bed? Is that what you actually need? Or do you actually really like to work on the weekends? You get excited and motivated by waking up early and working on your podcast and working on your social media. Like, do you like that feeling? Are you a total morning person? Like, do you feel productive in the mornings or after work? Are you like a late night person? Or is like your lunch break a really good time to work? You feel really productive? Like, the self-awareness piece is probably the most important thing with productivity and time management. So what I would do is take your part-time job description and literally slot it into your calendar and truly treat it like a shift, like you're showing up to your part-time job. And what I would really recommend doing is really have days that you're not doing your full-time job and content creation. Like, have days off, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday. Like, have one day where you're not working on something, especially for the marketing social media girlies out there. Social media becomes your entire world because full-time work on social media and marketing 9 to 5, then you're building your own, and then you're scrolling on social media in your free time. It gets like a lot. So I really think it's important to have either a Saturday or Sunday like completely off of content. You guys know me, I delete my social media every Friday. I don't have social media on the weekends. So what I would do regardless is slot in your part-time job description and the hours into your calendar and like show up to like a shift at work. Having an abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset is so important with a 9 to 5 job, building up all these things, because it is so easy to get in that scarcity mindset of I don't have enough time, I'm in a rush, like time is running out, I'm getting to this age, or I've been in this job for so long, or like why am I not a full-time content creator yet, or why am I not growing fast enough? Like, you get in the scarcity mindset of like there's not enough time, there's not enough resources out there to get you where you want to go, and really have a deep acceptance and like back yourself and trust the process that you do have enough time. One of the biggest things I've learned throughout my journey is that if you are not growing on social media, or your business is not growing, or you're not popping off and doing the things you want to do, it is for a reason. It is happening for you, not to you. When I first launched Busy Blooming, it was not the Busy Blooming it is today. It was not about any of this stuff. It was like pink and about post-grad life and corporate. I was really, really passionate about corporate at the time. And this podcast was about corporate life. And this was back in like 2021, 2022. And I was like, why is this not blowing up on social media? Like, why am I not growing? I am so happy I did not grow at that time, because deep down, that was not what I wanted to be known for. That was not what I was passionate about. I was so passionate about marketing and social media and confidence and entrepreneurship and all this stuff, but I hadn't made the decision yet to rebrand and pivot and just like go for the thing I really wanted to talk about. And when I did that, that's when I started to see growth. That's when things started to grow. And so in hindsight, I'm so happy that never happened at the time. I hadn't landed where I was supposed to land yet. So really be kind to yourself in this time of having a 9 to 5 job and growing the things you want to grow, because it's hard. Like, it is really, really hard when you feel resistance to where you are in life right now. If you want to be in a different situation, it's really hard. It's really stressful. It's really discouraging, and that's okay. But just trust the process and trust that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. I wish I could go back so bad and tell myself to enjoy where I was in that moment. I was so over corporate life. I was so desperate to get out. And the whole time I was there, I was just thinking about how I could not be there. And I wish I could go back and be like, enjoy it for a second. And we're going to talk about more of that in a second. So those are the first 3 steps on building your structure. Be clear of your vision, make a part-time job description, and slot it into your calendar. And the 4th step is the most important, which is adjust, pivot, and take breaks as you need. It is such a limiting mindset that you can't take breaks as a content creator or as an entrepreneur to grow. If you take a week off, you can't grow. That is not true. I have so much to say about this topic one day, about taking large times off of social media. But when you are feeling on the brink of burnout, the brink of like, okay, I think I'm about to have a bit of a mentee B, you were fostering growth to your business, to your social media, by taking a week off or taking 2 weeks off or a month off, because you are making the centerpiece of the business rested and fueled and re-inspired. It is so important to pivot, adjust that job description if it's not feeling good or you want to kind of go a different way, but take breaks and adjust as needed throughout every single week and meet you where you are at. And that getting in that practice and that routine is like so important for growth. Now I want to talk a little bit about monetization and making your full-time full-time income your content creation. If you are somebody and you don't want to be a full-time content creator, you just want to have a 9-to-5 job and do this on the side, you can skip to the next part. We'll talk about time management, burnout, mental health, like content growth tips. But this topic, if you were somebody and you're like, okay, no, I want to be a full-time content creator or a full-time entrepreneur, like I don't want a 9-to-5 job, what you need to focus on is a little bit more layered. So I'm going to keep it really high level for today. And again, I can go way more into this of like life after 9-to-5 and all of that. But what your goal is, if you were somebody who wants to do this full-time, make a full-time salary from content creation, entrepreneurship, is that you don't only need to focus on building a following, you also need to focus on building a monetization structure. And again, I have 3 steps of how to do this. I love a good step. The first step is quite obvious, but number 1 is determine how much money you need to make every single month. For me, at the time, I decided I need to make $4,000. My rent was $2,000 at the time, then other bills like Wi-Fi, groceries, all that. So I'm like, okay, I need to make $4,000 every single month if I want to do this full time. At the time, I was making $2,000 a month from vlogs on this channel. I think what I'm actually going to do maybe is make a playlist of like my old vlogs of like unlisted videos. If anyone wants to go watch those for fun, I think I might do a little bit of that. But I was making $2,000 a month from vlogging and from brand deals on the vlogs, which I have so many thoughts on how that went after I quit my job. So I thought, okay, I could get a part-time job doing marketing, maybe at a beauty brand for $2,000 a month, and then I can do $2,000 a month for my YouTube, and then I'll have more time to grow. So that is step number 1. It's just determining how much money you need to make per month. Step number 2 is you need to figure out how are you going to make that money. And there's really 3 options I've built out here. So option number 1 is you can monetize. Let's say you need to make $4,000 a month. You can monetize that $4,000 a month 3 ways. Way number 1, you could make all of your money from content, be a full-time content creator. Option number 2 is you could monetize through content creation and then income streams from content creation. Coaching, courses, digital products. I have a whole deep dive, I think it's like 40 minutes long, on how to do that. But that's option number 2, is you make a business and income streams from your content creation. And then option number 3 is you do a little bit of money from content creation and then you just get another part-time job, which is what I did for a whole year. So I kind of did a slower trajectory from being 9-to-5 to being my own boss. Is I built it alongside my 9-to-5 for a few years, and then I went part-time for a whole year, and then I went full-time being my own boss. Step number 1, figure out how much money. Step number 2, pick an income stream structure. And step number 3 is just to build a safety net of funds. I think I saved around $20,000 at the time. One of my biggest regrets, and not that I have regrets because everything did work out, but I was making $80,000 at my tech job being a product marketing manager in Toronto. And again, that job was so peaceful and so easy. I kind of wish I stayed a little bit longer because I could have saved a lot more money. But also when I went part-time, I was working like 20 hours a week doing consulting at beauty brands and different things. I felt like I was working the same amount that I was at that other job, but making like a quarter of the amount of money. And then the brand deals started to not be as consistent. So it was just a very stressful year. But I feel like because it was so stressful, I had to figure out how to make it work. And I started launching different things and pivoting and rebranding really, really quickly. So in that way it worked. But just to say, I kind of wish I stayed a little bit longer. I was just, if you know the feeling, you know, you're so desperate to leave and like get out of your 9-to-5. I know that feeling very well. One thing I feel like people don't talk about enough when you become a full-time content creator or become your own boss is that the energy of your content shifts from being something that you want to do to being something that you need to do. And when I quit my 9-to-5 job, part-time marketing, part-time content, like I needed that money from the AdSense, from the brand deals, and your energy just is different. It's kind of giving like desperate energy. Maybe I'll unprivate a vlog from that time, but I had to film videos. Like I had to sit down and film and make money, and the videos had to perform. And so when the vlog views started going down a little bit, it would be a detrimental feeling. So one thing I have to say is that there is so much value in always having a consistent income stream for as long as you can, to not put all the weight on content creation until you get to a point where you're making so much money from content creation that like you'll be fine. Okay, now let's get into some time management tips, because time management management is a huge weakness of mine. And the reason why, and let me know if you relate to this, but the reason why my time management is so bad is because there are so many things I want to do all the time. I find it so hard to focus on one thing. And I think a lot of people relate to this, that time management, when you're a creative person, you're an entrepreneurial person, your time management is bad because you don't have a hierarchy of tasks and everything feels like number one importance. So something that has really helped me is having a clear goal of, okay, right now we're in a season of content and era, or your big goals, the big 1 to 3 things you want to grow are Instagram, podcast, YouTube. Like maybe that's what yours is. So from there, just always remind yourself, even every single morning, of what are the big things you're trying to grow and what are the top of the hierarchy tasks you need to do, and work through your task list rather than just doing a bunch of things at once. And you have to force yourself to just do the top number one priority thing first. Another big piece of advice is that less is more, and this is time management. It is better, in my opinion, to do 1 piece of content on YouTube a week than 3 if that 1 piece of content is really, really good, because you do not need to post more than once on YouTube to grow. You can have 1 really good video that you promote on short form throughout the week that is so much better. And same with Instagram. You do not need to post every single day on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts to grow. You just don't. It is so much better to post like 3 really good posts per week than like a bunch of content. So less is more. When you think of your time management, like pull back and simplify your content schedule, your content strategy. I do have a whole video on a weekly work routine, and I have so many videos on content strategy and posting schedules, but really simplify things and strip back. And with time management, think, okay, how many really, really high quality posts that will really provide a lot of value, probably a lot of shares, a lot of saves, like how can I do a few of those every week? Like less is more. Another time management thing is just stop identifying as a procrastinator. Like you were not born to be a procrastinator. That is something that we build over time. And I had to do this a while ago. A few years ago, I'm like, I'm just a procrastinator. Like I just procrastinate. It's part of my personality. Like it's actually not. So I think today, if that is you, you're like, I just procrastinate all the time and I'm really bad at time management, which I know I just said that. But try to just stop identifying as that person and be like, I don't actually struggle with procrastination. It sounds simple, but trust me, like it helps. Another good time management thing that helps me a lot is setting a timer and working on things a little bit at a time. It's really hard sometimes to not live in like black and white, like live in the gray and work like 30 minutes on something rather than finishing a whole video or finishing a whole script. Try to set small timers of like, okay, I'm gonna work on this script for 20 minutes for this episode, or edit this video for 30 minutes or 15 minutes on this TikTok idea. Setting timers and like slowly working and chipping away at tasks is so hard to do sometimes, but it's so important. And that can be a really good time management thing too, because you're setting a timer and just like chipping away at things rather than being like, all of Saturday I'm gonna script all day. I also quickly wanted to talk about coworkers' opinions. This is a question I got on our YouTube and also my Instagram. Coworkers' opinions is like so hard to explain to people if you don't know the feeling. I've told this story before, but when I was in a one-on-one at the Big Four, when I worked in consulting, doing marketing, project management, I remember like in the first month or 2 of working, I had a coffee chat with somebody and she was like, oh, we were all watching your YouTube videos in the office. Like, I love your YouTube. That feeling makes you want to crawl out of your skin. Like, it is such a deep layer of cringe you cannot expressed, because at work you're just usually more polished, filtered version of yourself. So when people are watching your personal content, like it actually makes you feel like such a deep layer of cringe and wanting to just like quit your job and hide under a blanket and like not talk to anybody ever again. But it's so important to remember 2 things. We always talk about this over here. The boardroom of opinion. You have a boardroom of opinion in your life of certain people who sit at the boardroom table that you trust their opinion. You want their opinion on your business, on your content. You're at the head of the boardroom table. Yours is the most important. But people, random coworkers at your work are not the boardroom. So remember that. But also the let them theory by Mel Robbins. Let people think you're weird and you're cringe and that being a content creator is weird. Like just let them. It's fine. People will think it's cringe. People will have negative opinions regardless of how much money you make, how many followers you have. Someone will always think you're weird and cringe. So just let people have negative opinions of you. It's so much easier said than done. Like just trust me. I know exactly how you're feeling if you're going through that cringe at work, but that's all part of the process. Okay, let's get into some content creation growth tips and social media growth tips that help me grow with a 9-to-5 job. Something that really helped me is doing the weekly theme structure. I have a whole video on this that I will link, about 5 hours a week, how to do 6 times a week. It's like basically picking a weekly theme and then you use that theme for all of your content. Like the weekly theme this week for me could be brand deals or a 9-to-5 job guide. And then I do that on my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube, my podcast. That helped me so much, like compartmentalize and plan content. Also the idea of taking one content idea and breaking it into multiple styles, like taking the idea of this video, doing a reel with text on screen, a carousel, and a talking video, and a podcast. Like one idea in multiple styles helped me a lot. Something else that helped me is just prioritizing singular platforms. So like prioritizing YouTube at the time over everything. I personally am very against, for myself, batching and scheduling content. I find that when I batch create content, the energy's off. Like I'm just not feeling my best. The content doesn't perform as well. So I'm not a big batch content creator, and I'm actually testing right now scheduling out content. I'm trying a bunch of different platforms to see if any of them help, but scheduling your content, if it's video content, you're not getting in the algorithm as much because you're not putting the captions in the app, and a lot of the algorithm pulls and categorizes your video from the captions like on the screen and the text on the screen. So I don't know, when it comes to scheduling and batching, the content doesn't perform as well. And again, with a 9-to-5 job, you need high return on investment of your time. I feel like it's better to spend more time on one piece of content that you manually post on each video, on each platform, rather than like batching and scheduling content that won't really perform. That's just my opinion. I know people disagree, but I'm being so for real. That is what I found worked better for me when I was really busy with the 9-to-5, is doing less content that's higher quality and like manually posting it in all of the apps. This is a bit of a deeper thing with content creation, but something that really helped me is to just not fear a rebrand. I talk about this all the time, but I was very into like lifestyle influencer, like 9-to-5 lifestyle content. And the second I stopped doing that and I started talking about confidence and mental health and content creation and marketing and entrepreneurship, like that's when I really started to grow. I think because I was so much more passionate about that, but also I feel like I was very stuck in a mindset when I had a 9-to-5 job because you don't have a lot of like distance from your content to look at it objectively. You're very busy, you're very in it, not like on it, if that makes sense. And I feel like check in with yourself. Are you like pushing through closed doors a lot with content? Are you always posting the same content style, text on screen videos, or work week in your life vlog, same title, same thumbnail, or talking to the camera videos or carousels, and it's not working? Like, are you pushing through a closed door and trying to make it work? That is something I did a lot specifically when I had a 9-to-5, because you don't have like the mental, emotional capacity to like sit down and reflect and strategize and do all these things. So really be hyper aware, like, okay, am I really going through Albert Einstein's definition of insanity of like trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Like with a 9-to-5 job, a content creation tip I have is just to keep testing all the time. Like test different styles, different platforms, different brands, different topics, like until it works. Like if it's not working, don't keep doing it. Fail really quickly with content. That's something that's helped me a lot. And like with business as well, is like try a bunch of things until it works. And if it's not working, don't like keep doing it. Because again, your time is precious. You have a 9-to-5 job, you're very busy. Another content creation tip as well, it's like very not technical, but just really focus on your energy. This is like a mental health, it's all connected with content creation, mental health, energy, all of it. But if you are not feeling very good, like you're really burnt out and tired and just like forcing yourself and pushing yourself to post and film, the content will not perform as well. And take that push and pull very seriously. That I feel like is the art of being an entrepreneur and being successful in all of this world, is really mastering the push and the pull. Like checking yourself of like, okay, am I pushing myself? Am I not being pulled towards this? Because motivation and discipline is like a whole other subject when it comes to this. But I have never struggled with motivation. I have been almost to the point of like obsessed with building social media, building my business, especially in a 9-to-5 job as in my earlier 20s. I was like obsessed with growing what I wanted to grow. It was all I could do, and like I couldn't strip myself away from my phone and working and recording and trying and testing and launching businesses and taking down the businesses. Like I was so like obsessed and like loved it so much. But it comes to a point sometimes where you are pushing yourself a lot. So really feel like, are you pulled towards it or are you pushing it? And that will really affect, I think, the performance of your content, because your energy is like so key and so important. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I could go on for so much longer about this whole topic of having a 9-to-5 job with content creation. It's such a deep topic to me, but I just want to leave you with this. Like, if you are somebody who is working corporate 9-to-5 and growing your business and growing your content, I want you to really think about yourself as like a little kid. Think about that little person who is inside of you and take care of them, because this is hard. It is a lot. It's busy. It's stressful. It's deep because you don't want to be where you are, and it's a lot you're trying to balance. You want to grow something, and it's very, very tricky and difficult, but I just want you to always take care of yourself, because in this time of your life, it is so important to realize like time is precious, and there is so much good in this time, even though you want to be in somewhere else. But when you get to where you want to be, and when you get the followers and the income and all these things, you don't want to be like a shell of yourself, which is exactly what I experienced. And you really deserve, outside of content creation and income and your job and everything, to be happy and like live a happy life. You deserve that. So really just take care of yourself and really treat self-care and mental health and wellness as a business, content creation, social media growth strategy. It is like one of the best ways to grow your business. If you are feeling good and grounded and excited, your energy is good on camera, you're thinking clearly, like it's the most important thing, and something I never cared about when I was doing all these things. And I think I would have grown a lot faster and easier and more seamless if I did. So anyways, that is everything I wanted to say today in terms of how to build and balance and grow social media and content creation with a 9-to-5 job, and how to build that like weekly structure. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please comment down below. I would love to talk about this more. So if you want more videos on this, like please let me know. I will happily talk about this for as long as you'd like. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you for a very exciting week next week. We're starting off a new monthly series, so we'll see you then. And also, don't forget to check out Riverside. I will link everything down below. Make sure to use code TESS for 15% off, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.